Chapter 386, A Father with a Child. While sitting comfortably in the back seat, Tang Xiu listened to Hu Qingsong's proud and self-satisfied laughter. He rolled his eyes and gave him a contemptuous look. Excessive. It was nothing if Hu Qingsong only hooked up with a paper girl. But he went so far as to have a threesome with 2 paper girls. That was absolutely excessive. Tang Xiu was simply unable to bear this kind of behavior. The military training starts tomorrow, right? Tang Xiu smilingly said. While driving, Yu Kai nodded.
Yeah.
The army is kinda a melting pot if you ask me. They will devastate the flower buds of our motherland. Pity that this place is not my old man's company, but the famous Shanghai University. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had to attend the military training and do that sinful crime. You tell me, should I deliberately break my legs and then ask for a leave or something? That's okay, by me. I think your idea is great. Hu Qingsong smilingly said, guess what? I heard that the military training is mixed. So that will be a hella best time to pick up girls. If anyone were to give up this godsend opportunity, don't stare at us with envious looks afterward. Hell no, getting injured hurts. All right, I decided to attend the military training as well. This time, Yu Kai was poker-faced with all seriousness. But in the eyes of others, it was just akin to shamelessness. Soon, the car stopped at the dorm. During which, they talked about some school matters, as well as Xue Chao, who was still hospitalized. After entering his room, Tang Xiu took a glance at his own bed. He then squatted in front of the desk, looked underneath, and grabbed a few textbooks. He casually flipped it over for a short while and then decided to bring it back. There was still free time, so there was still good time to review. A mountain of books. There is no royal road to size, and there is no end to learning and work. Learning. Making money. Cultivating. This was the road he had set for himself. Wasting time was akin to wasting life for him. Suddenly, Hu Qingsong turned around to Tang Xiu and asked, our campus major societies are currently recruiting fresh blood. Eldest brother Tang, which society are you going to join? Society? Slightly startled for a moment, Tang Xiu then shook his head and said, I'm not interested in joining any society. I might as well learn more things if I have the time. Eldest brother Tang, are you still a youngster? Hu Qingsong grinningly said, we, youngsters, must be passionate and full of spirit to try new things. Anyhow, I've decided to join the basketball club and the breakdance society. How about you join me? Old Hu, do you really want to make eldest brother Tang join you in entering the breakdance society? Yu Kai turned around, faintly smiling, with his girl-flirting technique. If he were to join the breakdance society, I'm afraid the flower girls there wouldn't ever spare you and I again, no? Maybe the chicks will even throw themselves to eldest brother Tang's lap when he casts his sheepish eyes at them. Hu Qingsong froze. Suddenly sobered, he waved his hand and said, eldest brother Tang, count it as if I didn't say anything just now, okay? Tang Xiu didn't know whether he had to laugh or cry. Can you not foolishly blabber about? What is this casting sheepish eyes at chicks? What the hell is with throwing themselves at me? You are mentally sick. Eldest brother Tang, we are indeed sick in the mind. But you are sick in both mind and body. Yu Kai laughed, so to say, with so many beautiful ladies taking a like at you, can this small physique of yours still be able to hold the fort? Rolling white eyes at him, Tang Xiu was really too lazy to bother about them. Anyhow, eldest brother Tang, we gotta reach an agreement here. Yu Kai chuckled and smilingly said, first, you can join any society you like, but don't join the music society. Those pretty chicks in the music society are just fine to have me save them. Tang Xiu stood up. He could now tell that these dorm buddies were all akin to Casanova reincarnations. They came to college not to study, but instead, they were looking for a wife. They should have gone to a marriage agency should they have the time. He shook his head as he took a few books and prepared to leave. Well, be diligent in chasing and seducing those girls. Anyways, I'm not going to attend the military training. If there's nothing else on campus in the near future, I won't come back to school again. Give me a call if anything happens. Not attending the military training? Yu Kai and Hu Qingsong were dumbfounded. They watched as Tang Xiu left the dormitory. Then, Hu Qingsong dashed out. As he saw Tang Xiu in the corridor, he called out loudly, "Eldest brother Tang, did the campus approve of you not attending the military training?" "Yup. They approved it." Tang Xiu didn't turn his head. He just waved his hand and continued walking. Standing in front of the dorm's door, Hu Qingsong then turned around to look at Yu Kai. His lips quivered twice and sighed, "Damn, he's worthy as the eldest brother. This kind of ability." When Tang Xiu left the campus, he called Miao Wendong and learned that he had contacted Dao Master Zi. As of now, Dao Master Zi was bringing his disciple to Shanghai. The news made him secretly relieved. He had been hoping to craft an interspatial ring earlier. Once he had refined it, he wouldn't have to worry about carrying his belongings. Additionally, another good thing was that, after he obtained it, he need not worry about losing it. Of course, he also had another idea in mind. After he refined the interspatial ring, there should be a lot of precious materials remaining. Hence, he could craft weapons while convenient. He had been through several fights and killings. Although the Mitsubishi Army knife was sharp enough, it was inconvenient for him, let alone bringing it along with him. Let's head to the hospital. After leaving campus, Tang Xiu caught a cab outside, and then rushed straight to Shanghai First Public Hospital. Shanghai World Trade Exhibition Center. At the moment, counter number 0246 in the conference venue was surrounded by a crowd. Those who were eligible to attend this wine-tasting conference had all heard about God's nectar. They even knew that the 7 judges had given it sky-high praises. Therefore, countless people wanted to taste God's nectar, while nearly all liquor wholesalers wanted to bulk purchase it if possible. Prior to this, no one showed any interest in counter number 0246. It was simply deserted. But now, people boiled over, and countless more were coming. The stark contrast strengthened Kang Xia's self-confidence and delighted Sun Quan and the several other employees. Attention, attention. All wine wholesalers, please wait outside. Factory staffs, please wait in your counters. To all friends from the media, prepare to record, since the wine tasting competition will open immediately. A broadcast spread out in the conference venue. Immediately, dozens of security guards arrived at the venue and quickly escorted all the wine wholesalers to wait outside, as well as supervised dozens of reporters from the media, preventing them from disturbing the interview. A broadcast once again came out from the sound system. Dear friends, there are a total of 260 traders participating in this wine tasting competition. Afterward, the 7 judges will taste each wine produced by the various manufacturers. However, due to the quantity that must be tasted, the judges are to be divided into 7 groups. After that, they will assess and evaluate 5 winners, which will be tasted by the 7 judges for the final result. Shanghai's First Public Hospital. Tang Xiu went to Xue Chao's ward. As he looked inside, there were 3 sick beds, yet only 2 were occupied. He let out a smile as he looked at Xue Chao, who was sat on the bed head, wearing a distressed expression. Something wrong? Why are you looking like this? Walking over, Tang Xiu smilingly asked. Xue Chao looked up. He was as if seeing a savior as he looked at Tang Xiu. However, he hesitated as he was about to open his mouth. Eventually, he lowered his head again and shook his head silently. Tang Xiu then put the fruits he brought to the side. Taking a seat on the empty bed, he smilingly said, Xue Chao, we're classmates. Furthermore, you're also my dorm mate. Tell me if you have any problems. I'll never refuse if I can help. Xue Chao's lips quivered a few times. With an hesitating expression, he looked at Tang Xiu and probed, "Do you have some money?" "A bit." Tang Xiu smilingly replied. "Then, could you lend me some money?" Xue Chao hastily said, "Tang Xiu, please don't misunderstand me. I know this is only the second time we meet, and it's not proper for me to borrow money from you. But I'm out of options. If I can't borrow money, my wife and child won't be able to eat." "Your wife and child?" Tang Xiu blinked, and then said in a strange tone, "You mean, you not only have a wife, you also have a child?"
"Yeah."
"My wife is my high school's classmate." Xue Chao nodded and forced a wry smile. "We had our wedding right after we graduated from high school. Although we have yet to certificate our marriage, my son is almost a year and a half now. Originally, with my family's conditions, I wouldn't be able to come to Shanghai to study. But my wife forced me to. Moreover, she told me that if I'm not successful at university, she will take my son to a faraway place, never to see me ever again." "Xue Chao, I know you come from the mountains." Tang Xiu said, "Are your wife and kid still in the mountains now?" "If they were still there, I wouldn't have to worry about them starving." Xue Chao forced a wry smile. "They could fill their stomach if they go to the mountains and pick up some wild herbs and vegetables. But 2 days ago she came to Shanghai to find me. They have been in the hospital for the last 2 days." "How about their well-being?" Tang Xiu asked. "I only have 60 yuan left with me. That is also for them to buy some food to eat." Xue Chao sighed. "Even if 60 yuan can last today, or until tomorrow, but what about the day after tomorrow? And the days after?" "I see. Anyways, don't worry about the money matter." Tang Xiu said, "Since your wife and son have come to Shanghai, then you must take care of them. However, they should also know about your situation, so why did they came to Shanghai?" "What about your parents?" "Ah, forget it. I'll just tell you." Xue Chao sighed, "It's because my family is too poor, so my wife's family dislikes me, and they didn't approve our marriage. But my wife went against them, so we eventually had our wedding. However, she didn't have any means to get any help from her maternal family, while my family only has my mother. We have no other relatives. As a matter of fact, my son got ill after I came to Shanghai. Although he has taken medications, he hasn't gotten better until now. But if I can't get money, after 3 or 4 days, I'm afraid that he won't be able to make it." Chapter 387, Do Good Deeds to the End. Without saying more, Tang Xiu took out his wallet, took out more than 3,000 yuan, and stuffed it into Xue Chao's hand, saying, "I only have this much cash on me. Take it first. I'll see you again 2 days later, and I'll bring some extra cash for you then." With a grateful look, Xue Chao looked at Tang Xiu and said, "It's enough. This much is enough." "Tang. Eldest brother Tang, I can't thank you enough for this great benevolence. But I'll remember this favor. I'll look for work after I have recovered from my injury, a part-time one, and I'll pay you back as fast as possible. There's no hurry." Tang Xiu shook his head and said, "A few thousand yuan is nothing for me. Supporting your family and studying are your priority now. So, just recover from your injury, I'll help introduce you to a job. You can earn money by working on Saturdays and Sundays. Do you have an acquaintance? Is the payment good?" Xue Chao was pleasantly surprised.
"Yeah."
"It's an acquaintance of mine." Tang Xiu said with a smile, "I'll introduce you later. Looking at my face, you'll definitely earn more money compared to other places." "Eldest brother Tang, thanks." Xue Chao hastily nodded and gratefully said, "Let's leave out the courtesy." Tang Xiu smiled while shaking his head, "But don't say anything to Yu Kai and the others about me lending you money and helping you finding a job." "Why?" Xue Chao was puzzled. "No whys. Shortly put, just don't mention this matter in front of them." Tang Xiu said with a smile. Additionally, I think you're an honest and upright man. I hope you can keep your heart pure after spending more time here. Don't get lost by the myriad temptations of this dazzling metropolis. I won't. My mom said that rivers and mountains may change, but it's hard to alter one's nature. Xue Chao scratched his head and laughed. My character has been set in stone, while I myself have to support my family. How could I lose myself in the dazzling mundane world with its myriad temptations? In actuality, I understand what you mean. Yu Kai and the others seem to come from families with good financial situations. You don't want me to unrealistically compare myself with them, right? Tang Xiu let out a faint smile. Just as he was about to speak, a woman appearing to be 22 or 23 years old, with pale skin and a slim figure, entered the ward. There was a 1 or 2 years old child in her arms, and she wore a concerned and worried expression on her delicate face. Little Wan, come here quickly. Let me introduce you to my classmate. This is Tang Xiu. The other classmates in the dorm call him eldest brother Tang. Eldest Tang brother, this my wife, little Wan, and that's my son in her arms. Xue Chao put down the money as he said with a smile. Hello. That's a very adorable little fellow you have there. Tang Xiu greeted her with a smile. Du Wan was a bit anxious upon seeing Tang Xiu. Nevertheless, she hurriedly replied, hello, thanks. After thinking for a short while, Tang Xiu then turned to Xue Chao and said, how about leaving the hospital earlier? I'll arrange you a place to stay. The place is off the campus, so your son doesn't need to stay in the hospital. You also know the amount of bacteria that gather in hospitals. It could be harmful to the child's health and growth. Eldest brother Tang, this is not quite proper, don't you think? You've already helped me so much. Xue Chao was hesitant. It's all right. Tang Xiu said with a smile, like the common saying goes, do good deeds to the end and send Buddha to the west. You just admitted to owing me a favor, then you can just admit owing me more. Xue Chao was silent for a short while. He then nodded and said, all right. Where will you arrange us to stay? Actually, I have a place outside campus, you can move there and stay with me. Tang Xiu said with a smile, we can take good care of each other in this case. But, your place, can we also stay? Xue Chao asked. Don't worry. Tang Xiu laughed, a few more people living there is no problem. That's great. I'll tell little Wan to deal with the discharge procedures. Xue Chao said. Tang Xiu smiled and took Xue Chao's child. The child was not shy of strangers, instead, he smiled at Tang Xiu. However, his body was a bit hot, which made Tang Xiu's expression slightly change. Xue Chao, wait here for a while. I'll see a doctor to check his body temperature. We have to take good care of this child's illness before we leave. Having said that, Tang Xiu hugged the child and left the ward. Outside, he called a nurse to help examine the boy's body temperature. It turned out that he only had a low fever and the nurse suggested to lower it with external cooling. In fact, Tang Xiu himself understood medicine and knew perfectly well about the child's condition. He just did this to make Xue Chao relieved. Half an hour later, Tang Xiu carried 2 big baggage in one hand while his other hand propped up Xue Chao, leading Du Wan and their son leaving the hospital. He then intercepted a taxi outside and quickly went to Blue Star Villa complex. As for the reason why he brought Xue Chao's family to stay with him together in Blue Star Villa complex. Firstly, it was because he wanted to help them. Secondly, he also wanted them to help take care of the villa. At the very least, there would be someone to do every day's cleaning, keeping everything in order, or buying some groceries. It's said that children who come from poor backgrounds manage their households from an early age. He believed that either Xue Chao or Du Wan were also able to cook. Additionally, he actually had thought it over. Even if he was studying at Shanghai University, he'd probably leave often and keep busy with some other things, leaving the villa unoccupied. However, it was also easy to expose that he was rich in this case. At the Blue Star Villa complex's entrance. After paying the taxi fare, Tang Xiu helped Xue Chao out. After that, he picked up the baggage in the trunk and then waved to a security guard. "Hello, can you give us a ride?" Tang Xiu asked. The security guard was surprised as he saw Xue Chao's family of 3. He then said with a smile, "No problem. Please wait a bit, Mr. Tang. I'll immediately call the patrol over." "Thank you." Tang Xiu took out a cigarette pack. As he found that he had yet to open its seal, he straightly stuffed it into the security guard's hand. At the moment, Xue Chao was a bit startled. He retrieved his eyes from the villa complex's entrance and looked at Tang Xiu, asking, "Do you live here, eldest brother Tang?"
Yeah.
Tang Xiu replied with a smile. Despite opening his mouth, Xue Chao didn't say anything. "Xue Chao, this is nothing but a material thing. Don't care about it so much." Tang Xiu said with a smile, "Besides, I think you misunderstood something. You should have guessed that I'm a second-generation nouveau riche, right? Actually, I'm not. All the things I have were mostly gained with my own hands." "I got it." Xue Chao nodded. The patrol car quickly stopped in front of them. After 2 security guards carefully supported Xue Chao inside, they then motioned for Tang Xiu and Du Wan to board. Without too many effort, they arrived at the villa's front gate where Tang Xiu was living. After thanking them, Tang Xiu watched as patrol car left and then opened the front gate. He then led Xue Chao's family of 3 into the villa's courtyard. "Holy Mother, this is truly impressive and stylish." Du Wan looked faintly excited. She had never seen such a stylish, impressive villa. "It's just like on TV. It's really big and impressive." Xue Chao nodded and said, "I really never thought that I, Xue Chao, can also live in such an impressive house. We are still young. As long as you work hard and diligently make money, I believe you'll also have your chance in the future." Tang Xiu said with a smile, "When that time comes, you can buy a more luxurious villa for your wife and children."
Yeah.
Xue Chao nodded heavily. After entering the villa, despite already having imagined how luxurious it was, Xue Chao and Du Wan were still flabbergasted after seeing the decoration inside. They couldn't utter any words for a long while. "Xue Chao, you're still injured. Thus, you'll stay on the first floor. There are several guest rooms on this first floor. Discuss with your wife and pick one of them." After helping Xue Chao sit on the sofa, Tang Xiu spoke to him with a smile. "All right, we'll pick one." Xue Chao nodded and said, Can I take a bath? I've been in the hospital for 5 or 6 days. I didn't have a chance to take a bath." "Yup, there's a bathroom on the first floor. Stroll around and you'll find it." Tang Xiu said with a smile, "That's right. Since you're older than me, I'll call your wife Big Sis-in-law." "Big Sis-in-law, can you cook?" "If you can, then we can do grocery shopping and cook food to eat at home." "Yes, I can, so can Xue Chao." Du Wan quickly replied. "That's great." Tang Xiu said with a smile, "I'll give this great and honorable work of preparing food for you. Anyhow, I'll give you a spare key later." Half an hour later, Xue Chao and Du Wan had selected a good room. The couple hugged their child and had a chat in the room. "Little Wan, take this. It's several thousand yuan." Du Wan stared blankly for a moment, and then asked in astonishment, "Hubby, where did you get the money from?" "I borrowed it from Tang Xiu." Xue Chao said. "We have no money, and we now borrowed from him." Du Wan hesitated before she received the money and said, "We must work hard in the future and pay him back. Not to mention that he's letting us live in his house. We must remember this favor. We must repay him in the future." "I know. Tang Xiu is a good man and has done us good. Xue Chao nodded and said, "We'll be good to him later." "All right." Inside the study room on the second floor, Tang Xiu took 2 keys, one of which was the key to the villa he gave to the couple, and the other one was the key to his other villa in Shanghai. It was because he had to have a place to treat Dao Master Zi's disciple. It wasn't a problem before Xue Chao and his wife came to live in this place. But since there were outsiders now, he could only pick elsewhere. After packing up, Tang Xiu then dialed a cell number Ji Qimei had once given him. He agreed to meet her at the Everlasting Feast Hall. After saying hello to Xue Chao and Du Wan, Tang Xiu then left the house directly. There were a lot of magical spells and divine abilities he had been unable to use due to his limited cultivation. Furthermore, he was also clueless about the specific situation Dao Master Zi's disciple was in. Hence, he called Ji Qimei over for safety's sake. "I'll just wait. When the time comes, I can use a lot of magical spells as long as my cultivation is high enough. Although I can't cast a few spells since the star force within me is unable to support it, it's still better than nothing." Chapter 388, Heartbrain Goo Poison. Shanghai World Trade Exhibition Center. Media reporters followed the 7 judges who stopped in front of the counter, tasting a variety of wine brands. Regardless, due to quantity of wines, they just sipped the wine as not to get drunk and then gave their evaluations. Time fleeted by. Surrounded by the crowd, Du Kun came before the number 0246 counter. He looked at Kong Xia, who opened the bottle cap of God's nectar and poured a cup. The smile on his face immediately got thicker. After drinking up, Du Kun spoke to the recorder in his hand, smiling, "My appraisal is the same as before. This wine should only be found in heaven, and only a few people can taste it in the human world. If the price of this God's nectar wasn't tagged with such a high price, I would be very worried about the other wine businesses in China. If anything, I want to tell everyone that this wine is truly a good drink, yet, you must get it after looking at your pockets. If you don't have the money, even if this wine is a world's delicacy, you shouldn't be over too fond of drinking it." Having said that, he turned to Kong Xia and said with a smile, "Chief Kong, I love this God's nectar and am very optimistic about it. If later you have any problem in this area, you can find me. I'll help you solve it." "Thank you." Kong Xia slightly bowed and replied with a smile. The media reporters were ignited by Du Kuen's statements. This time, they recounted Du Kuen's words without missing even a word with excited expressions and relayed it back to their headquarters as quickly as they could. Outside the venue, 7 big screens above broadcasted this scene. A large number of liquor wholesalers saw it, and many people recorded the scene using their mobile phones to witness and memorize the success of God's nectar today. Many people now began to inquire the details of the magnificent Tang Corp, hoping that they could be cognizant of the company's executives and win them over by throwing money, striving to buy a great quantity of God's nectar to make a fortune from it. Shanghai, Southfield Villa Complex. Following the address, Tang Xiu came over by car. There were 4 cars in the garage, and he let Kong Xia drive one. Yet, it was his first time using one. After reporting to the main gate, he arrived at the villa. After entering, he found that, although this villa was a bit shabbier compared to the villa in the Blue Star Villa complex, it was also an upscale and luxurious villa. After parking the car, Tang Xiu took out a black leather suitcase from the trunk. He put the precious ores to craft interspatial ring inside, some of which were main materials, void crack stone, wintertide fluorite, and star fragment stone, while Tang Xiu had also bought some batches of other additional materials. However, there were too many things to carry, and he didn't bring all of them over from Star City. But since they easy to buy, he decided to buy a few more before he began crafting the interspatial ring. Soon, Ji Qimei caught up. After greeting Tang Xiu, she then learned the reason he called her over. "Venerable Lord, I don't know much about the goo poison on Earth. But I believe there's no goo poison in this world that I can't govern. So you can rest assured that I'll do my best." Ji Qimei respectfully said. I believe in you. Tang Xiu said with a smile, I estimate that they should be arriving in half a day. You can wait here. Understood. Ji Qimei said. As noon approached, Tang Xiu received a phone call from Miao Wentong, informing him that he had brought Dao Master Zi and his disciple to Southfield Villa Complex's entrance. Immediately, Tang Xiu called the complex's main gate and said to allow them to enter. Brother Tang, I didn't let you down. I've brought Dao Master Zi and his disciple. Whether or not you can get the thing you want, it will depend on your ability. Miao Wentong cupped his fists over as he smiled. Nodding with a smile in a response, Tang Xiu then looked at Dao Master Zi and said with a smile, Dao Master Zi, we meet again. From your dispirited look, you seem to not have rested, right? As long as I can cure this disciple of mine, I'm willing to endure. Dao Master Zi forced a smile and said, Benefactor Tang, let's not waste time. You can rest assured. I'll immediately give you my cauldron furnace as long as you can eliminate the goo poison in my disciple's body. Having said that, he walked to the car's rear door. With utmost care, he pulled out a person dressed in a yellow robe, and an object wrapped in a large bundle of yellow cloth, and then put it down in front of Tang Xiu. Tang Xiu didn't open the wrapped object. Instead, he looked at the youth who wore the same Taoist robe as Dao Master Zi. The youth had a handsome look, but his complexion was pale, with faintly purple lips. There was also a black-colored vertical line on the center of his brows. Please, come inside. Tang Xiu said coolly. Miao Wentong and Dao Master Zi shot Ji Qimei curious looks, who looked focused and still behind Tang Xiu. They didn't intend to ignore her, but, since Tang Xiu didn't introduce her, they could only hold back their doubt as they followed Tang Xiu inside. Dao Master Zi, you and Brother Miao can wait outside. We'll go inside to check his condition. Tang Xiu didn't want to waste time. He wanted to get the cauldron furnace as fast as possible. All right. Dao Master Zi nodded. A minute after, Tang Xiu and Ji Qimei had brought the youth into the room. After Tang Xiu nodded, she then immediately said, Take off your clothes and lie on the bed. The youth obeyed Ji Qimei's instruction. After stripping off his clothes, he obediently lied on the bed. Ji Qimei raised her hand and pressed the youth's great spirit point, great pivot point, and life gate point, these three big acupoints. As her fingers moved, an amazed expression could be seen on her old face. Raise. Ji Qimei turned her hands. The youth's body levitated midair. In a flash, Ji Qimei's figure drifted up. With her feet floating in the air, her hands constantly flapped the youth's back and abdomen. After more than a minute, she then floated down. How is it? After seeing the youth's body back to bed again, Tang Xiu quickly asked. Venerable Lord, I know what kind of goo poison is in his body. Ji Qimei respectfully replied after knocking out the youth with her hand. I had once fought an old demon ancestor called Blackheart in the Immortal world. He was an expert in all kinds of goo poison. Originally, he had harmed a lot of people, poisoning some of them with this type of goo poison. What is it, exactly? Tang Xiu curiously asked. It's the heartbrain goo, an extremely vicious goo poison. Ji Qimei replied with all seriousness. This type of goo poison can discharge beyond removing someone's root of life and star destiny thread together and link up his brain area and heart. Once this root of star thread is broken, the victim implanted with it will die instantly. Additionally, this kind of goo poison releases its poison from time to time and will erode the person's blood essence, corroding his bone marrows. However, the person who used this goo poison has poor ability. His low cultivation resulted in the brain-heart goo not being up to much, thus, this youth can still live until now. Can you cure him? Tang Xiu asked the issue he was most concerned about. I can. But I need some things. Ji Qimei nodded. What kind of things? Tang Xiu asked. Crepe myrtle kindle symbol. Have you considered whether I can make this ancient symbol? Tang Xiu knitted his brows and forced a smile. In those days, Venerable Lord was able to move unhindered in the immortal world and had innumerable divine abilities. Ji Qimei said with a smile, this subordinate only had a meager status at that time. Even though this one did hear Venerable Lord's glorious deeds, this one never knew that you could craft this crepe myrtle kindle symbol. I'm indeed able to craft this crepe myrtle kindle symbol. But my current cultivation is limited. Tang Xiu smiled and said, even if I exhaust all my strength, I'm afraid I can only produce one in a day. Furthermore, the effect is also much worse. I don't know whether it would still have an effect. It won't be a problem. Ji Qimei nodded. Having said that, there was a look as if she wanted to say more, but was hesitant in doing so. What else do you want to say? Tang Xiu asked when he noticed it. There was a surprised flash in Ji Qimei's eyes as she said, Boss, I suspect that there are some inextricably link between Earth and the immortal world. After all, this goo poison is extremely rare even in the immortal world. Furthermore, ever since I arrived on Earth, I found many things which can be considered as peerless treasures in the immortal world. Tang Xiu himself had long been aware of the special connection between Earth and the immortal world. Therefore, he nodded and said, in fact, I have also noticed some of the things you said. However, there are only a handful of cultivators at present. Those few in the cultivation world that I know of don't know many secrets either. Hence, even if we want to investigate it, I'm afraid we can't find out anything. Some people on Earth probably have some connections with the immortal world. That, or some cultivators from Earth who had ascended to the immortal world, are using some divine ability to transport some things from there to Earth. In short, there are all kinds of possibilities. Do you want me to secretly investigate it? Ji Qimei asked, perhaps we'll have unexpected discoveries. Not for the time being. Tang Xiu shook his head and said, your most important duty is to protect Yen and refine medicinal pills. As for other matters, wait until I have thoroughly cured Yen. It won't be too late to conduct further investigations later. I understand. Ji Qimei respectfully said. Go buy the things needed to inscribe the symbol. Tang Xiu said, after you buy them, I'll immediately craft the crepe myrtle kindle symbol. Affirmative. After Ji Qimei departed, Tang Xiu didn't awake the youth, instead, he went to the living room. Dao Master Zi and Miao Wenong stood up upon seeing him, as Tang Xiu then said, we can save your disciple, but we need a special ancient symbol. I've ordered Ji Qimei to buy the materials needed. After I craft the symbol, she then can start the treatment. You can really treat it? Dao Master Zi was pleasantly surprised. Well, I'm someone who attaches importance to promises. Tang Xiu said with a smile, naturally, if I don't have the cure, I won't say anything that slaps my own face just to look imposing. Rest assured and wait. I've been waiting for a long time, it's not a problem to wait for a while more. Dao Master Zi nodded, and then said with a smile, Benefactor Tang, don't tell me you don't want to have a look at the cauldron furnace. Tang Xiu looked at the wrapped furnace on the tea table. He then walked over gently unwrapped it. Hiss. When Tang Xiu looked at the golden yellow quadruped cauldron furnace, his eyes were wide like saucers. He couldn't help but inhale a cold breath. Chapter 389, Refining the Divine Cauldron, Progressing in Cultivation. Tang Xiu had never seen Dao Master Zi's cauldron. He did fantasize that Dao Master Zi had a very good cauldron, but never did he think it'd be this good. In the days when he was in the immortal world, he also possessed a top-notch immortal cauldron. He used that cauldron to craft weapons and concoct pills, which were regarded as top-notch immortal tools and immortal pills. However, merely from its outward appearance, as well as the tidal glittering golden glow that was hard to catch by naked eye, he appraised that this cauldron was not much inferior to the top-notch immortal cauldron he had once used. Benefactor Tang, is this cauldron good? In the past, I risked my life to break into a mystical place. Aside from a manual, there was only this quadruped cauldron. It's a pity that this cauldron is a bit small, otherwise, I could have refined several good pills. As Tao Master Z was thought about how this treasure he had used for decades would soon become someone else's, he couldn't help but ache inside. It really is a good cauldron. Tang Shou sighed in praise. I won't renege on my promise. Provided that you can cure my disciple, this quadruped cauldron is yours. Tao Master Z said with a smile, if you can't cure him, I won't give it to you. While stretching his hand to gently touch the quadruped cauldron, Tang Shou slowly released his star force into the cauldron. Suddenly, a band of golden light burst out and stabbed everyone's eyes in an instant. Even Tang Shou himself closed his eyes at this moment, as he could feel his eyes turning hot and aching. Puff. As Tang Shou held the cauldron, suddenly, 2 wind blades cut through his palms, and blood crazily gushed out from them, while the golden light from the quadruped cauldron became even more intense. Every nook and corner of the villa's hall was inundated with golden light. At the same time, a suffocating, terrifying aura exuded out from the quadruped cauldron. The aura brought along a very strong pressure. Despite Tao Master Z and Miao Wentong's cultivation being several folds stronger than Tang Shou's, they were still forced to constantly step backwards by the oppressive aura. After they were forced out of the villa and entered the courtyard, only then did the duo's footsteps cease retreating. Their complexions were ghastly pale. What's going on? I've used that cauldron for decades, how come this kind of matter has never happened? Tao Master Z said with an unsightly expression. Tao Master, you ask me, but whom do I ask? Miao Wentong forced a smile and said, besides, cauldrons were never my thing, to begin with. But this aura is way too terrifying. I feel like if it suddenly explodes, I'm pretty sure I'd be blasted into smithereens. I also have this feeling. Tao Master Z said, but, Tang Shou, he. Inside the villa's hall, Tang Shou's body turned incomparably rigid. He felt horrified as he lost control of his own body. His blood was crazily being sucked from the wounds in his hands. Within just a few seconds, 2/3 of the blood in his body was sucked away. Shortly after, a gentle golden light entered Tang Shou's body through his wounds. Under the supervision of Tang Shou's spiritual sense, he could see that, after his blood fused with the golden light, it went through special qualitative changes, and the blood flowing in his blood vessels gradually turned into golden red color. This golden light is transforming my body. Tang Shou's perception shifted away from his blood. He suddenly discovered something more flabbergasting. While his shock was not yet over, a special medicinal efficacy suddenly came out from the cauldron and torrentially inundated into his hands, went through his arms, and entered his body. Heavens! How come there's so much medicinal efficacy from it? If Tang Shou were not able to speak, he would be roaring now. He found that the 2 medicinal efficacy forces were extremely powerful. The energy was huge to the point that his body was unable to bear it. He even began to worry that his body would explode as he withstood it. However, his concern didn't come true. The 2 medicinal efficacies burst into his body, and then stampeded inside his dantian at a lightning speed. The stars inside his dantian was as though being hit by a radiant storm, with the sparks splashing. The stars exploded, forming a more horrifying storm. Bam, bam. Tang Shou could only see darkness as he directly fainted. However, his body remained standing with his hands still pressed on the quadruped cauldron as before. At this moment, the golden light released from the quadruped cauldron slowly dissipated, but the same oppressive aura hadn't vanished yet. From the top of the cauldron, a stream of quaint ancient gold runes was continuously fusing into the center of Tang Shou's brows one by one. Time went by as 8 hours passed in an instant. Blue Star Villa Complex. After participating in the wine-tasting conference, Kang Xia led the company's staff to attend the evening banquet organized by the Wine Industry Association. She then sent Su Quan and the others back to Star City, and enthusiastically drove back here. However, she had never thought that she would unexpectedly meet 3 guests inside. You mean that Tang Xiu brought you to live here? And you're also Tang Xiu's classmate? Kong Xia asked as she looked at the family of 3 in front of her. That's right, I'm Tang Xiu's classmate. I suppose I'm also his dorm mate. Shui Chao nodded and said, but since I got injured, he wanted me to move from the hospital to recuperate here. Anyways, she's my wife, and that's my son in her arms. Kong Xia took her mobile to call Tang Xiu's cell number, but her phone call didn't get through. Her black-dyed eyebrows knitted slightly. She then put her mobile away, nodded and said, hello, I'm Kong Xia, Tang Xiu's subordinate. Anyhow, since I can't connect with him, I'll go rest first. I have yet to rest until now. You want to rest here? Shui Chao quickly asked. Is there a problem? Kong Xia showed a trace of a smile and asked, I stayed here last night. Shui Chao quickly shook his head. With a simple and honest smile, he said, what you said is kinda interesting. What subordinate? You should be Tang Xiu's girlfriend, right? Since our family of 3 is living here, there will be many disturbing things later, so I ask for your forgiveness. The smile on Kong Xia's turned a bit brighter. She was quite happy after hearing Shui Chao's words. She then laughed and said, it's all right. Since Tang Xiu wants you to live here, just stay here. Besides, I only come to Shanghai occasionally. After seeing him, I'll return to Star City. Immediately, she turned around and went to the staircase. While gazing at Kong Xia's enchanting back, Shui Chao secretly gulped down his saliva. He then turned to his wife, Du Wan, and said in a low voice, wife, Boss Tang is really amazing. His girlfriend is so beautiful, she's even prettier than those pretty female celebs on TV. Du Wan raised her brows. While hugging her son with one hand, her other hand pulled and twisted his ear, saying with discontent, yeah. Miss Kong is really beautiful, But I wanna know something. Am I more beautiful, or is she more beautiful in your eyes, huh? With an embarrassed expression, Shui Chao said with a smile, wife, you're beautiful. My wife is the most beautiful in my heart. A glimmer of satisfaction on her face, Duan then loosened Shui Chao's ear and harumphed, humph. If you dare say that other women are more beautiful, things won't end well for you. Nevertheless, Miss Kong is indeed beautiful. I'm afraid that guys like you who are able to find such fairy-like Bon Amy, surely must have your ancestral graves to emit green-blue vapor, no? 1. I think so too. Nonetheless, Boss Tang is a kind and good person. If it was someone else who found such a girlfriend, I'd think the woman was blind. But I feel it's normal for Boss Tang to find such a great girlfriend. Shui Chao said with all seriousness.
Yeah.
Mom taught me when I was small that good people would have good rewards. Du Wan nodded. When Kong Xia went to Tang Xiu's bedroom on the 2nd floor, she looked at the empty room, a look of being at a loss flashing in her eyes. She planned to return back to Star City tomorrow and wanted Tang Xiu to accompany her tonight. But now with him not here, she was a bit disappointed. However, she didn't worry about Tang Xiu's safety at all. Because she knew how powerful he was. Whoever dared to bully him should wait to be bullied back by him. Where did that fella run up to anyway? Kong Xia spoke to herself in a low voice. She then walked to the cloakroom, picked a brand new man's white shirt from the inside, and then casually walked toward the bathroom. At this time, Tang Xiu had just awakened from his stupor. He then sat cross-legged on the sofa while staring blankly at the quadruped cauldron. No, not right. This cauldron should no longer be called as a quadruped cauldron. Instead, it must be called Demon God Spirit Devourer Cauldron. He found a lot of things inside his sea of mind after he woke up. He learned that this Demon God Spirit Devourer Cauldron was the most valuable treasure, that once belonged to the super-powerful supreme devil, Jialuoya, in the god realm. He also learned that this Jialuoya was once born and existed countless of eons ago on Earth. At that time, the past Earth was not the same as the present Earth. He even knew that Earth was once thousands of times larger than it was today, whereby myriads of immortal cultivator powerhouses existed therein. Unfortunately, a great war at a later time led to the destruction of Earth. Countless great gods perished in the war while some departed, leaving only some weak ones. Gradually, they declined in the perpetual river of time. He was not clear about the events afterward. Because soon after, Jialuoya made a breakthrough. He became a demon god and straightly entered his second life in the god and demon realms. However, in the tens of billions of years later, Jialuoya was harmed in a trap prepared by his enemies and ultimately came to his end. As for how this demon god spirit devourer cauldron ended up on Earth, Tang Xiao didn't get any information whatsoever. Furthermore, although the demon god spirit devourer cauldron was once the most valuable divine artifact, it was unknown to him for what reason its spirit disappeared without a trace. Hence, the artifact was only comparable to an ordinary immortal tool at the most now. Only after this demon god spirit devourer produced spiritual tools again would it gradually recover its formidability. After taking a long breath, Tang Xiao let out a sigh of relief. With the vibration of his wrist, the demon god soul devourer cauldron instantly disappeared. With his spiritual sense, Tang Xiao found that this cauldron had appeared on the left side of his body, inside his chest. My cultivation has been promoted by a full level, reaching the peak level of bone transformation stage. I only need another step to achieve the marrow transformation stage. This time, the benefits are really too great. If Ji Qimei can't completely cure Dao Master Zi's disciple, I won't able to explain and pay back this account. Chapter 390, Removing the Goo Poison. Tang Xiao swept his dantian with his perception. The stars inside had disappeared and were replaced by a black hole vortex exuding a terrifying aura. Tang Xiao was aware of what was behind the black hole whirlpool. It's the feeling of power. Tang Xiao clenched his fists. He felt like he could blow a house to smithereens. Furthermore, the moment he circulated the star force in accordance with the heavenly art of cosmic genesis's circulation route, the black hole inside his dantian released a steady stream of star force. It was as though the black hole vortex was connected with the countless stars in the vast universe. Benefactor Tang. The Dao Master Zi and Miao Wentong rushed in from the outside. When they saw Tang Xiao sitting on the sofa, Dao Master Zi couldn't help calling out to him. Boss Tang, are you okay? Miao Wentong urgently asked, what happened before? That aura was too horrifying. Letting out a faint smile, Tang Xiao then shifted his vision from the two men toward Ji Qimei, whose expression was ever-changing. She was holding some things and had come behind the duo. I'm fine. However, due to cultivating a special cultivation technique, it turned out to have a special connection with this demon god spirit devourer cauldron. Thus, it has been refined by me. Dao Master Zi, if my subordinate is unable to heal your disciple, I would have no means to give the demon god soul devourer cauldron back to you. At the most, I can only use other ways to compensate you. Tang Xiao said with a helpless look. Dao Master Zi furrowed his brows. He observed Tang Xiao's expression and could tell that it was unlikely that Tang Xiao was joking. He then slowly asked, Benefactor Tang, I've used this cauldron for dozens of years to concoct various pills. But this kind of matter has never happened to me before. I want to know something. You said this cauldron is called the Demon God Spirit Devourer Cauldron. What kind of existence is it exactly? Tang Xiao chose to conceal it previously because, despite the breakthrough in his cultivation, he was still not Dao Master Zi's opponent. In case that Dao Master Zi knew that this Demon God Spirit Devourer Cauldron was a divine artifact and he acted without caring for the consequences, he would perhaps have to face a dead end. However, he suppressed the thought after thinking about it again. because this time, he had Ji Qimei here. If Tao Master Z really dared to act against him, Ji Qimei would directly send him to death's door. Nevertheless, I should opt to conceal it, so as to avoid leaving a knot in his heart. After his mind revolved, Tang Xiu slowly said, "This cauldron is called Demon God Spirit Devourer Cauldron. It had once housed a sentient spirit, except that the cauldron spirit has long vanished. What is left now is only a cauldron suitable for crafting tools and concocting pills. You have also seen the images left back then. It was imprints left by the spirit before it disappeared. It was triggered by my power, so it activated. So to speak, it brought me a lot of benefits. At the very least, it helped me improve my cultivation." Tao Master Z felt quite bitter inside. However, comparing his disciple and the Demon God Spirit Devourer Cauldron, he realized what was more important. "Benefactor Tang, since this Demon God Spirit Devourer Cauldron has chosen you, this is your good fortune. This poor Taoist only hopes that you can fully cure my disciple. Like I said before, this Demon God Spirit Devourer Cauldron is yours, provided that you can treat and heal my disciple." Tang Xiu slowly nodded. He then looked at Ji Qimei and asked, "Is everything I need prepared?" "Yes, everything's ready." Ji Qimei said, "You can begin at any time." Tang Xiu stood and took everything from her hands, saying, "You all wait for me here. I'll go upstairs to craft a symbol. Once I finish manufacturing it, I'll begin treating your disciple." "All right." Tao Master Z complied. After 3 hours passed by, Tang Xiu finally succeeded in crafting the crepe myrtle kindle symbol. When he came downstairs, he handed it over to Ji Qimei and solemnly said, "It's your turn now. Don't let me down. Rest assured." Ji Qimei nodded as she took the crepe myrtle kindle symbol and walked into the room. "Benefactor Tang, you're not following her?" Tao Master Z was startled. "It doesn't matter if I go or not." Tang Xiu shook his head and said, "She will be the one removing the goo poison, not me." "May I ask something first, Benefactor Tang?" "Who is she?" Tao Master Z curiously said. "She's my subordinate," Tang Xiu said. Dread could be seen on Tao Master Z's expression. He could feel a dangerous vibe from Ji Qimei the first moment he saw her. The most puzzling thing to him was that Ji Qimei seemed to be just an ordinary old woman. There was not the slightest sign of cultivation from her. "Brother Tang, this subordinate of yours is really powerful," Miao Wentong said. "If my guess is not mistaken, her cultivation must be far beyond mine and Tao Master Z's. I'm afraid it has reached the point that is enough to make us look up to her, am I right?" "She's indeed very powerful," Tang Xiu said with a smile. "She can easily break through the 1,000 revolutions array with her strength alone." "What?" Miao Wentong exclaimed, flabbergasted. Even Tao Master Z had his expression drastically changed. They both knew the 1,000 revolutions array's might. The reason why Tang Xiu had been able to break through so many layers before was because he was very proficient in arrays. But Tang Xiu said that this old woman could easily break through the entirety of the 1,000 revolution array, by virtue of her strength only. So to say, that old woman's strength was at least 10 times stronger than them, or even hundreds of times. Tang Xiu revealed a faint smile as he turned around to sit on the sofa. He no longer accompanied Tao Master Z and Miao Wentong to chat. Instead, he sat cross-legged on the sofa and silently sensed the Demon God Spirit Devourer Cauldron's situation inside his body. At the same time, he also circulated the star force inside his meridians to stabilize his own cultivation stage. Although he had now reached the peak of the bone transformation stage, and the toughness of his skeletal bones had increased by over 10 times, he achieved this stage too suddenly. His foundation was not solid, and it was in an unstable state. 10 minutes later, Ji Qimei came out of the room and looked tranquil. Behind her, Tao Master Z's disciple followed her out. There was a faint red color on his complexion now. Jingy, how are you now? Tao Master Z came before his disciple and urgently asked. The youth called Jingy revealed a faint smile and said, Master, thank you for sparing no efforts for this disciple. You didn't even hesitate to let such a precious treasure go, only to help me get rid of this goo poison. The goo poison in my body is gone. Good, good, good. Tao Master Z's eyes shined. Excitement painted his whole face as he said, You must never easily provoke others ever again. There are numerous skilled people in the world. If you encounter the same situation once more, this master of yours doesn't know if he can save you again. This disciple will obediently follow respected master's instructions. Jingy respectfully said, This one certainly won't dare to repeat the same mistake in the future. Nodding in satisfaction, Tao Master Z suddenly felt enlightened. Perhaps his disciple had just gone through the best tempering, though the cost was rather big. The profane world does have a common saying that a lesson is learned once one pay for it. He sighed to himself inwardly. After that, he turned to look at Tang Xiu. Tang Xiu opened his eyes. A smile hung on his face as he said, Tao Master Z, since the goo poison in your disciple's body has been removed, this should explain that the demon god spirit devourer cauldron is mine.
Yeah.
It's yours. Tao Master Z nodded. Tang Xiu laughed. He then looked at Ji Qimei and said, You did a good job. Rest well, or you can go back to Jingmen Island. Then, this subordinate will take her leave first. Ji Qimei respectfully said, Please do call me if you have any other commands later. Having said that, without glancing at Tao Master Z or Miao Wendong, she turned around and left. It was said that people get in high spirits when they were involved in happy events. Tang Xiu's mood was particularly great at this time. He gestured for Tao Master Z and his disciple, as well as Miao Wendong, to sit down. He then said with a smile, Two friends, it should soon be morning, so you should rest here if you're tired. I myself rarely come here. You can also stay here if you are in Shanghai in the future. This poor Taoist came in a hurry. There are also a lot of things to manage in this Taoist's temple. Tao Master Z shook his head and said, Thus, this one will bring this young disciple of mine to leave after the sky is bright. Brother Tang, I won't be staying either. Miao Wendong said with a smile, I've already accomplished the matter you wanted me to help. If you want to thank me, it's fine for me if you sell me more God's nectar later. I don't know whether you're already aware or not, but your God's nectar is truly hot now. The major media, many judges from the Wine Industry Association, as well as many wine lovers can't wait to buy God's nectar. I personally made the recipe for the God's nectar. Tang Xiu smiled and said, I would have no face to see anyone if the taste was not good. Brother Miao, if you would like, I'll sell the wine at the previous selling price I mentioned to you. The price you sold to me before was already a loss for you. Miao Wendong grinned and said, To my knowledge, the God's nectar's price for each bottle is more expensive than 10,000 yuan per bottle you told me before. Let alone myself, the others have also probably made profits. It was an unexpected mistake from my part. Tang Xiu said with a smile, I forgot that the God's nectar's price had been retagged by the top executives in my company. However, there's no harm. With our relationship, I don't care about the money. With curiosity on his face, Tao Master Z asked, Does this God's nectar taste that good? How about selling it to me as well? That said, this one has to say something first. This poor Taoist is very poor. Today, Tang Xiu took huge benefits from Tao Master Z for a cheap price. He suddenly waved his hand spiritedly and said, Tao Master Z, with our friendship, must we mention money? So to say, if you pass by Star City, you can stop over for a while. I'll order some people to prepare hundreds of bottles of God's nectar for you. Benefactor Tang, I don't need that much. Tao Master Z forced a smile and said, We, master and disciple, are living deep in the mountains, so we won't be able to carry too many bottles. You only need to give me 8 to 10 bottles. It's enough. No problem. Tang Xiu laughed. Later, when you need more, just directly contact the person in charge of the winery. It's fine this way as well. Such being the case, this poor Taoist gives many thanks. Tao Master Z got up, gave a bow and said, by the way, since this young disciple of mine had the goo poison in his body removed, we'll be taking our leave first. I'm also leaving. Miao Wentong also got up.